Good morning. It's Saturday, June the 6th, and I want to discuss one subject that I think most people who have a great deal of tax debts excuse me, would like to know about, and they would like to know how to go about getting those tax debts that they owe settled for much less than assessed. Well, even though we all want to do this, it is not as easy as many people think. In order to obtain a settlement for considerably less in taxes than you owe, there are many steps involved. It's called basically the offer in compromise. The offer in compromise is a procedure and a way of settling your tax debts with the Internal Revenue Service for a lot less than owed. Now, you hear a great deal about settling your debts for pennies on the dollars. And at that opportunity, we go, wow, I want to do that, of course. I want to settle my tax debts. I don't want to have to pay tens of thousands of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars on taxes. I want to settle my debt quickly. I want to be able to offer an amount that's easy for me to come up with. And sometimes we're sold on that idea that we can actually settle a debt with the Internal Revenue Service for considerably less than we owe. And we don't realize that that's basically very, very, very unusual. It's not the routine way of going about paying off tax debt. My cat keeps hitting the computer, so I'm having trouble concentrating. I may have to cut this video short, but she's all over the table and she's all over the computer, so unfortunately I think she wants to star in this video. But anyway, now she's settling down a little bit. Thanks for your patience. The offer in compromise requires several things. First of all, the taxpayer has to be in compliance. So if you're not in compliance, the IRS isn't even going to consider your offer. It doesn't do you any good for someone to tell you, oh, I bet you qualify for the offer in compromise, without actually interviewing you and knowing your facts and circumstances. No one can tell you that the IRS is going to accept your offer. They can give you an idea as to the chances that you have of getting your offer accepted. But when they're first interviewing you and asking questions, they don't really know what you're not answering, what you're not telling the person who's interviewing you. They don't know what your actual IRS transcripts reveal. They don't know if you have filed all your tax returns. They really don't know anything about you other than what you're telling them. So for anyone to tell you, oh, no problem, you qualify. We get all offers accepted all the time. That's not possible. That's not true. Not if they're sincere. They might have gotten 1 out of 50 offers submitted actually accepted. In the meantime, there are a lot of disappointed people who are complaining that they were misled. Well, partially, yes, they're misled. Partially, they also need to realize that a little research on their own part is necessary when you're going to hire someone and pay them a considerable amount of money to represent you. Just because that individual is an attorney or a CPA or enrolled agent or a tax professional doesn't necessarily mean that they have a magic wand or special contacts within the Internal Revenue Service that they can make with, contacts that they can work with to get your offer accepted. It just doesn't work that way. Everything that everyone does for you on your behalf to have the offer in compromise accepted requires that they follow certain procedures, rules and regulations, and protocol. So don't be fooled by advertisements that promise you things that are just not reasonable. I mean, use your good judgment, use common sense, and realize that in order to get something like taxes, where the IRS can seize your property and take the property and sell it to pay your taxes, is not going to be that easy to settle for pennies on the dollar. I mean, use a little common sense and do some research. There's a lot of research you can do on the internet. You can go to the Internal Revenue Service website and download their forms and their instructions on the offer in compromise, and I recommend that you do so before you get involved with any resolution company and put out good money. You've got to be aware of what it requires from you and whether or not you're actually in a position for the IRS to accept your offer. You might not even get it accepted when you apply. They may not even accept the application. So you've got to understand that this is not a done deal just because somebody tells you it is. It isn't. It's a complicated situation. It requires a great deal of thought, a great deal of time, and it also requires that you have the certain facts and circumstances which IRS will accept as reason to allow you to submit an offer for much less than you owe. So in this regard, I would appreciate it very much for your own benefit if you would do a little research ahead of time and not just go blindly into a situation where, you're overly optimistic, because it's only going to hurt you. You're going to be very disappointed. You're going to spend a lot of money. So be wise. Do some investigation. Learn a little bit more about the offer in compromise. Go to the IRS website. It's irs.gov. And on the search engine, look for offer in compromise, or type in those keywords. And you will find that there's a wealth of information available to you so that you understand the process. And of course, it's complicated and you may need someone to explain it to you, but it's worth your while to read and do a little research and then ask questions. And then go about interviewing different professionals that you might want to consider helping you in this effort. Good luck, and please be careful. Thank you. And now to try to shut this